Let us see the next article, that is called Maternity Should Not Be Carrier Barrier. Supreme Court Judge, I have believed that maternity should not be a barrier for career of women to plateau or dip. Motherhood must not result in a situation where women are passed over for promotion and hiring. Providing access to quality childcare at the workplace would play a significant role in ensuring the motherhood and does not become a barrier to women's empowerment. This is what the article talks about. Next article is, he inspired Jund but not sponsors slum soccer pioneer new seeks assistant. Retired sports teacher Vijay Baras is a real inspiration behind Amitabh Bachchan's character in the movie Jund that promotes football among the slum children. Okay. Next article that we are moving into is related to Punjab's claim on Chandigarh. Punjab Assembly has passed a resolution reiterating its claim over Chandigarh. How did the UT come to be the capital of both Punjab and Haryana? What have government in the states and centre said? A long-standing dispute between Punjab and Haryana over Chandigarh flared up this week after Centre notified the central service rules for employees in the Union Territories instead of Punjab service rules. Centre has earlier tweaked rules for appointment to the Bakra Bees Management Board. Recruitments can now be done from anywhere in India instead of just Punjab and Haryana. When and how did Chandigarh become the capital of Punjab? After partition, Shimla was made the temporary capital of Indian Punjab. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru wanted a modern city to replace the Lahore as Punjab's capital, and the idea of Chandigarh was conceived. The capital was officially moved from Shimla to Chandigarh on September 21, 1953. President Rajendra Prasad inaugurated a new capital on October 7, 1953. Until Haryana was born, Chandigarh remained the capital of Punjab. Now, when was Punjab reorganized and Chandigarh became Union Territory? The Punjab Reorganization Act of 1966 carved out the new states of Haryana from undivided Punjab, created the new Union Territory of Chandigarh under the direct control of the centre, and transferred the hill territories of Punjab to the Himachal Pradesh. Chandigarh, identified as the capital of Punjab in the Capital of Punjab Development and Regulation Act 1952, became the common capital of both Punjab and Haryana, and properties can be divided between the states in the ratio of 40:60. On January 29, 1970, the centre announced the capital project of Chandigarh should as a whole to Punjab. Indira's government took his decision after Fateh Singh, leader of Punjabi Shubha movement, threatened self-emulation if Chandigarh was not transferred to Punjab. The government explained why it has decided against dividing the city Chandigarh, of which communiques said its layout, architecture and beauty have evoked wide admiration, and the city was acquired as an international reputation. In August 1982, Akali Dal, having expressed dissatisfaction over Punjab's Reorganization Act, launched the Dharam Youth Morcha along with Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale with the object of realizing the goals of Anandpur Sahib Resolution of 1973. On July 24, 1985, Rajiv Longowal Accord was signed between the Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi and Akali leader Harchand Singh Longowal. Among other things, the centre agreed to give Chandigarh to Punjab, and January 1986 was fixed as the date for the actual transfer. However, less than a month after signing of the accord, Longowal was assassinated by militants. This is what the article is all about. Next article is above 59,000 award powering the census. Reason for the rise. Biggest reason for recovery over the last few days has been the news position of native development in the discussion between the Russia and Ukraine. The war was not drawn in more nations as some feared initially. Barrel on Friday, Brent declines, lift sentiment in Indian equity as Indian imports around 85% of its oil requirement. On domestic front, rating agency CRISIL and ICRA have reported continuing improvement in the performance of India INC. This is what the article is all about. Next article that we are moving into is related to Assam Meghalaya border dispute. What's been settled now? The two states share 884-kilometer boundary, which has seen several flare-ups. What is the root of the conflict? During British rule, undivided Assam included present-day Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Mizoram. Meghalaya carved out in 1972. Its border demarcated as Assam Reorganization Meghalaya Act 1969. In 2011, Meghalaya government has identified 12 areas of differences with Assam, spread over 2,700 square kilometers. Some of these disputes stem from the recommendation by 1951 committee headed by Assam Chief Minister Gopinath Bardoli. In 2008 research paper from Manohar Parrikar Institute of Defence Studies and Analysis refers to the committee's recommendation on including the certain areas in Assam. Number of attempts had been made in the past to resolve the dispute. In 1985, committee was constituted under the former Chief Justice of India, Y.V. Chandrachud, but a solution remains elusive. A final set of recommendation was made jointly. Out of 36.79 square kilometer of disputed area taken up for settlement in the first phase, Assam would get full control of 18.46 square kilometer and Meghalaya 18.33 square kilometer. What are the next steps? Next step will involve delineation, demarcation of the boundaries by Survey of India in the presence of representatives of both the government. It will be put in the parliament for approval. This is what the article is all about. Next article that we are moving into is related to Joseph K. in Karnataka. The Bommai government ignores pressing concerns to lavish attention on minority bashing, tells the larger story. He was in the news for passing Anti-Conversion Act, turning the hijab into an issue, reviving an absurd law banning Muslim shopkeepers around the temple premises, including boycott of halal meat, bringing minority institution under scanner, and getting ready to introduce Bhagavad Gita in school. Christian community made attempts to tell the government that the Anti-Conversion Act could not be consistent with the constitution, which guarantees a fundamental right to profess and preach any faith. The rationalized census data of 2011 may show the population of Hindus in Karnataka at 84% and against Muslim at 12%, Christians at 1.87%, and Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists and others at 1.2%. Karnataka is no monolith. It is presented as being inclusive of heterodox schools and anti-Brahmin groups such as SCs 19.5%, Lingayat 14%, Okaligas 11%, Kurumbas 7%. The closing section of Gita, 18th Adhyaya, justifies the Varna hierarchy. Lingayat children may prefer to read the Vachana poems of Allama Prabhu, that is 12th century Lingayat saint, and the Kurumba children would want the poem of Kanaka, that is 6th century Kurumba poet. The possibility of worshipping many godheads, a theological federalism rather than unitary vision of an avatar. This is what the article talks about. Next article that we are moving into is related to finding Meenakshi. Madurai teaches us that true heart of Hinduism lies in the easy confidence of many way of faith within it. The Meenaksyam Temple. Meenaksyam Temple located on the bank of Vaigai River. Meenakshi, which means fish-eyed, in her form as a Parvati, consort of Shiva, is the principal deity in the temple. The temple had its early origin in 600 CE and was subsequently restored and enhanced from 16th century onwards by Nayaka ruler, especially Tirumala Nayaka. The Meenakshi temple complex has 14 gopuram, the gateway towers, 4 gates, multiple halls with many resident deities including Shiva, that is Sundareshwar. However, it is a hall of 1,000 pillars, which is also a museum within the temple complex, that is the finest showcase of culture and art. Nataraja is a deity in the hall. This is what the article talks about. Next article that we are moving into is related to joining the dots on autism. Ramp up screening and development responsive curriculum popularizes legal rights. April is Autism Awareness Month and April2 is Autism Awareness Day, both of which are mandated by United Nations. Autism diagnosis usually comes wrapped with the label of being abnormal. Autism is not a disease that can be cured. It is a lifelong set of developmental impairment in the domain of communication and social responsiveness, accompanied by restrictive and repetitive behaviors. Census data of 2011, autism was recognized as a disability in 2016 under the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. It is a crushing setback for mothers to know that her child will not learn like others. It's like facing postpartum blues for years, called mad and feral, and the autistic child is avoided in social settings. The impact over 80% of children with autism. This deficit is passed to mother on daily basis. Her life oscillates between vigils by night and therapy hoping by day. The first task before government is to ramp up the autism screening. Unlike Down syndrome, which is screened prenatally through triple test and amniocentesis, there are no biomarkers to detect the risk of autism. New Delhi launched a free app, Pet Neuro Aims Diagnostic, a Google Play and App Store. Second, the big tenant approach of special education is not working. What works for dyslexia or Down syndrome will not work with autism. Asperger's syndrome, condition without learning disability but with similarities to autism, was also included in the subgroup of autism. Flexi syllabus and the use of subscribes as a allowed by CBI to fulfill the provisions of RPW with Disabilities Act, but how many have availed of these facilities? There is no government data, but based on parental narratives from different cities, it can be safely said that it is accessed only by microscopic minority among the autistic learners. National Education Policy 2020 states that by 2025, at least 50% of the learners through the schools and higher education shall have exposure to the vocational education, for which clear action plan with targets and timelines will be developed. Third, autism awareness campaigns need to popularize legal rights and government benefit schemes. Okay, this is what the article talks about. Next article that we are moving into is related to Sri Lanka economic crisis. Protest near president's residence and an act of terrorism says government. 54 arrested. Economic crisis in the country as an act of terrorism, blamed extremist elements linked to opposition parties for the incident. I feel shame. Pope apologizes to indigenous people of Canada. Let us see what the article talks about. Catholic Church involvement in the system of Canadian boarding school that abused indigenous children for 100 years and announced that comes after the discovery last years of sign of unmarked graves in the remains of hundreds of people. Catholics played in the abuses you suffered and in the lack of respect shown for your identity. This was first apology to indigenous people of Canada from the Pope and was a reversal of France's earlier position. The system of compulsory boarding school that the National Truth and Reconciliation Commission called a former cultural genocide. The Catholic Church operated about 70% of schools in the system. About 150,000 indigenous children were separated from their families and sent to these residential schools where abuse, both physical and sexual, was widespread along with the neglect and disease. France's here story after painful story of abuse suffered at the hands of Catholic educators at the schools. This article is all about. Next article is about national interest first by discounted Russian crude. Finance Minister. India has offered a discount as high as $35 per barrel on crude oil price before start of the conflict by Russia. This is what the article is all about. If you like the video, please do share, comment, like and subscribe. Thank you.